So continuing from yesterday, I said that these few days we will look at that chapter in Pakmodrupa's text, which is the chapter on cause and effect, karmic cause and effect. And then having understood karmic cause and effect, karmic causality, the different aspects of karmic causality, then a discussion on the vows of individual liberation, the first of the three sets of vows. The three sets of vows that, in the context of Gongchik that we have looked at, we see how Jigten Sumgen articulates the relationship between these three sets of vows, which is that they have a single essence. And so that if we know how to recognize the single essence of the three vows, and the single essence of the three vows, he says, is to give up all negative actions. And in particular, then, the negative actions can be summarized into the 10 non-virtues. So he says that is the essence of the three vows, is to give up give up all negative actions. In other words, to give up, right, all the causes of suffering. If we don't want suffering, give up the causes of suffering. Apparently, I remember reading a story, an anecdote. I don't know how accurate this incident was reported. Apparently, that Gandhi, the famous father of modern India, as he is called, Gandhi. So when Gandhi got more and more famous, so many people came, to visit him, including foreigners. So among them, it is said that there were some Christian missionaries who paid him a visit. I'm sure, more than one set of Christian missionaries paid him visits. But apparently in one incident, these Christian missionaries were explaining to Gandhi the general Christian theology of forgiveness, and of course emphasizing the power of Jesus to forgive one's sins. So Gandhi listened to all of that and responded by saying, this is very good to know that Jesus can forgive our sins. And then Gandhi says, but I'm more interested in learning how to not sin rather than continuously looking for forgiveness of sin. He says, I'm more interested in not creating sin. So this is, whether this actually happened or not, the point is that even as Buddhists, sometimes we behave as if, we can just do purification. We can just do this and that to make up for negative karma that has been created. But better than that, is learn how to minimize the creation of causes of suffering until we arrive at that place where all causes of suffering have been removed. So speech karma and physical karma arise from thought karma. So that's why the Buddha emphasized so much, the training of removing obscurations from the mind, removing the kleshas from the mind, from the heart. Because after all, speech and physical karma are the result of thought karma. So anyway, yesterday we looked at that chapter in Pakmodrupa's text. And I said yesterday that now I'm going to refer to Gampopa's Jewel Ornament of Liberation for a more detailed discussion of specifically the 10 non-virtues. Yesterday, Pakmodrupa's section discussed like the worst aspects of, like the worst kind of killing that one could engage in, and the worst kind of stealing that one could engage in, and the worst kind of sexual misconduct that one could engage in, and so on and so forth. And so that was yesterday's discussion. He highlighted like the worst kinds that you could do, the most serious type. So here in Gampopa's discussion, he goes into the characteristics associated with these 10 non-virtues. So the first one is killing. So in this section of this discussion, he says, as for the 10 non-virtues, there are 3 that pertains to physical actions, 4 that pertain to verbal actions, and 3 pertain to mental. So killing. So then he says, for each of them, you can look at it. You can look at each of these 10 non-virtues from dividing it into their categories, and then the results, and some particular examples or instances. So he says killing has 3 categories: killing due to desire and attachment, killing due to anger and aversion, and killing through confused ignorance. And so see how, right, this physical action arising from the kleshas, mental defilements. So those are the 3 poisons, right? Desire and attachment is one, anger, aversion another, and confused ignorance. Confusion and ignorance. So killing through desire and attachment is killing for the sake of obtaining meat, hide, and so forth. Things that we want. Killing for sport and for financial gain, and even killing to protect ourselves and our loved ones. All those is the killing through desire and attachment. Yeah. Second is to murder those you feel aversion for on account of grudges or competition and the like. On account of grudges, resentments. And the third, the killing that is made out of ignorance, confusion, is killing to make offerings to God, spirits, so like animal sacrifices. So these are the 3 types of killing. The results of killing are what's known as the ripened results, result corresponding with the cause, and dominant result. Ripened result is rebirth as a hell being. Result corresponding to the cause is that even if you were reborn human, you will have a short life and many sicknesses. The dominant result is to be reborn in an ill-fated and unattractive place. A place that is always filled with turmoil. A place that is always filled with violence. So here, the third one, called the particular instance, actually that is similar to Pakmodrupa's discussion of like the worst instance, actually it means. So this is called, so he gives the example of like killing your father, who is also an arhat. That would be like the most heinous. Then stealing has 3 categories: stealing by force, stealing by stealth, and stealing through cheating or fraud. So the stealing by force is like using violence, So this maybe we call, robbing. Second type of stealing is people are not looking, people are not paying attention. You just take it. Right? Then the third is, you devise ways to cheat, to commit fraud, to trick people. Various ways, to cheat people. So that's for stealings. Then, if you engage, continuously in stealing, then you'll be born finally as a preta, as a hungry ghost. And even if you succeed in being reborn as a human again in the next life, then you will always experience lack. You will always not have enough. So the wording literally is like you'll be born poor, but I think this poor can speak to all kinds of poverty. Some people can be surrounded by and have access to everything, yet they're always not enough, not enough, not enough. And what is called the dominant result is to be born in a place where there is frost and hail. Why frost and hail? This is related to agriculture being the most important thing, right? In fact, agriculture, more than even making computers, is the most basic need that you and I have. Meaning, you're born in a place where the source of food is always being threatened. Frost and hail being the two types of threats to agriculture, especially for Gampopa, like in Tibet. So he's kind of relating this to. Then in other places, it might be like locusts, insects, that will come and attack crops. The worst case of stealing, is to take wealth that belongs to our gurus or to the three jewels. Then when it comes to the third, non-virtuous actions of the physical type, there is sexual misconduct. There are three categories. So sexual acts that are proscribed due to family ties. Then that are proscribed because this person belongs to somebody else. That means they don't have the freedom to decide. And then sexual relations with those who are protected by religious vows. So these are the three types. So in all three, the person has no real agency or power to grant you permission. And so in kind of modern terms, we can say, consent is not there. With family, it means basically is speaking to you are supposed to protect them, daughters, sons, nephews, nieces. You're supposed to protect them. And so you cannot violate this kind of trust. Then second category, they belong to someone else. So likewise, they have no power to give consent. Then third, they have taken vows that prevent them from giving consent. So that is also not, it's a non-virtue to engage in sexual activity with any of these three. Then further discussion here, it goes into what it says, inappropriate, like place, organs, times, degree, forms, a lot of details like that. And some of it, I think this, we might find it like, oh, what does that mean, so some of it, like the discussions, like it says, inappropriate organs, they'll say like mouth, or mouth and like anus, is identified. So this, of course, causes a lot of people like, oh, this is discrimination. Here, I think you have to understand that the context of this is it's referring, it's assuming that it's talking to, so of course these days the discussion is always, then the question of like, what about same-sex partners and questions like that. I think it's safely we can assume that, when Gampopa was discussing this, it was addressed to an audience that is assumed to be two different genders. So what it seems to be saying here is like, do not like exceed, do not go beyond what as biological beings that your needs are, because sexual desire is very strong and very powerful. If you give in to it without any boundaries being drawn, then you cannot be free from it. Then you're always becoming dependent. So that, seems to be the general idea underlying there. In Theravada commentaries of this sexual misconduct, they say, with regards to the further kind of categories of what is appropriate, what is not appropriate, it actually in Theravada commentaries that I've come across, it says the main point the Buddha is establishing here is keeping harmony within the community that you are a part of, so that whatever they find to be objectional, you don't want to involve somebody else that finds this to be objectional. In other words, your own sexual desire should not involve someone who finds your type of desire, so to say, to be objectional. So again, it comes to, in what I can see here, it comes to an issue of consent. Now, of course, you could say, oh, so if everyone is consensual, then no problem? No. Desire is still desire, Just like killing, if the victim consents to you killing them, doesn't mean there's no karma, There is still negative karma, yeah? And stealing, if the one that you steal from don't seem to care, it doesn't matter, I mean, it matters if, they care a lot or they don't care. Degrees does matter. But you cannot say that, oh, they don't seem to care, therefore it doesn't matter. No. Because you yourself know that you're stealing, That already matters. So the three types of ripen, so the ripened result is rebirth as a hungry spirit. So this is also rebirth as into the hungry spirit. So both stealing and sexual misconduct, repeatedly doing that, rebirth as a hungry spirit. So that's really interesting, right? So they are, in a way, you could say both are talking about attachment, aversion, and therefore stealing. And both are, in a way, a form of stealing. Especially the sexual misconduct in terms of like consent, right? If clear and unambiguous consent is not available, it's a form of stealing. Stealing by force, stealing by stealth, or stealing by trickery. And so both will lead to hungry ghosts. The corresponding result is that even if reborn human, your partner will be like a hateful enemy. So who you end up with, as a life partner, will always have a very contentious relationship. So here, so if when you look at the result there, you can understand what is the causes that you are being advised against. So it's here hateful, meaning disharmonious. So the non-virtue of sexual misconduct has to do with sexual behaviors, sexual activity that create disharmony, that sow seeds of suspect and jealousy and disharmony and harm. That's what we have to look out for. The worst case is having intercourse with your own mother, who happens to be an arhat. So again, this is addressed to men, but the principle is the same. So lying, three types. The most serious one is lying about having spiritual accomplishments, lying about your spiritual abilities in order to gain benefits for yourself. The second are other types of lies for the purpose of benefiting yourself or harming others. And the third type of lie is what we might call, no, they're not really white lies. The third type of lies are more generally lies that are neither beneficial nor harmful. So it's interesting, it says, even lies that are not harmful, we should avoid, because it establishes a pattern, right, of deception. So you don't want to feed the habit of. So we could say that these are like white lies, but not more than like trivial lies, kind of habitually lying, but lying about things that don't have big consequence. But even that, it says we want to be careful. That kind of deceptive speech. Here, the result is rebirth as an animal, and then even if you're reborn as a human, people won't trust you. People will always be suspicious of you. The dominant result, what's called dominant result, this really is talking about here. Dominant results for all these is like the lesser of the three. The worst is actually born in a different realm with suffering, dominated by suffering. Second is even if reborn as human, you'll be this. And dominant result is, say, the more general result is bad breath. So dental hygiene is involved here. The worst case is lying to our teacher when you have slandered the Buddha. Worst case. Divisive speech, 3 types. The first type is like directly, slandering someone. Directly making false accusations. The second kind of divisive speech is indirect. You insinuate. You say something to cause others to come to their own conclusion, so to say. But you are very cleverly kind of insinuating. And the third one is spreading rumors. With this intention, to divide people. You say, oh, so-and-so said this about so-and-so. Then you go to another group of people, and so said this about so-and-so. Even if it is true, it's not just, divisive speech is not just about making it up. Making it up is about lying, Now, if you make up lies to divide people, then it's 2 types of negative speech. Yeah. This kind of speech, right, if you continuously engage in, it can lead to rebirth in the hell realms. And you see how, right? This is related to anger. You cause division among people. The corresponding result is that, even if you're reborn as a human, you will always be losing friends. Because that's what you have been engaging in, Splitting up, harmonious people, causing disharmony. Dominant result is to be born in a place that is physically kind of dangerous. To go from place to place, you're always, the physical landscape is treacherous. Then the worst kind of divisive speech is divisive speech to split a monastic community. Then destructive speech. Again, there's direct, there is insinuated, and through others, just like the last one. Again, here the ripened result, meaning if you continuously do this, hell realm, rebirth in hell realm. And then even if you're born as a human, always, very unsettling sounds you keep hearing in the place that you live in. Sounds of warfare, sounds of, violence, constantly you hear. And the worst kind of destructive speech are those that are done towards your father or mother or a noble being, using harsh words, harmful words, hurtful words. Then distracted speech, my 4D, deceptive, divisive, destructive, and distracted. Distracted speech are useless speech, useless like worldly blah blah blah, and useless speech, even if it's true, what you're talking about. The first type, the first one of these among distracted speech is actually, it says, it concerns, discussing about confused, deluded systems of beliefs. Of course, here is not talking about you studying about them and understanding why they are mistaken. Here is talking about, you sit around and talk with people about kind of basically wrong views, and knowing that they are wrong views instead of talking about why they are mistaken, how they're mistaken, you are like engaging in kind of promoting it. The second is silly talk, joking. Too much joking also is unskillful. No one will ever take you seriously, It's not saying that, oh, you practice Dharma, you cannot joke anymore. But it's talking about if you chronically is just being funny, then there's something also wrong about that situation, right? There's something unhealthy about that. And the third one is, like I said, the things that you're talking about is true, but then it's useless. And what is that referring to specifically? That refers to, so this is important, explaining Dharma to those who are not interested. Worse, they already don't like Dharma. And then you try to, without power, without skill, you try to talk to them about Dharma. The point here is you'll further alienate them from Dharma, or you might even cause them to say and think very harsh things, very harmful things about the Dharma. And this cuts their future connection to Dharma. So also don't do that. Then, so ripened result is rebirth as an animal. Corresponding result is that your words will carry no weight. People won't believe you. People won't take you seriously. And then being born in places where the seasons are unpredictable, erratic. So I think now, right, we say climate change, seasons are erratic, affecting the whole world. According to this, it's also related to how we engage in blah, 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 blah. Probably true, more than ever human beings are engaged in all kinds of speech through all kinds of media. Most of them are distracted speech. Then covetousness, 3 of the mind, starting with to covet. So coveting with regards to our own things, and coveting with regards to other people's, and coveting things that are neither yours nor others, and kind of like nature. The mountains and the rivers don't belong to anyone in particular, you covet. And the first one, coveting, is not just things, also like your standing in society, your reputation, your family lineage, and so on and so forth. Coveting that. Oh, I'm the best. My family is the best, things like that. Second one is, of course, what other people have. You're like, ooh, I want that, I want that, I want that. I want their house. I want their credit limit. I want their job. I want their kids. I want their pets. I want their zip code. I want their retirement account. And then the last one is like mountains, rivers, or even other people's good weather. Oh, I would like that weather. I want. If we keep feeding this, keep creating this, then rebirth in the hungry spirit world, in the Preta realm. And even if reborn as a human, will be dominated by I want endlessly. And it says, the side effect, so to say, is to be rebirthed in a place where the nutrition and the quality of food is poor. So food is a basic need, nutrition is basic need, but because you covered so much, then you cannot derive nutrition from it. So again, this can speak to, even if superficially you are very wealthy, but if you're coveting, then you'll see how your health never will be good. Because even if you eat the most nutritious food, it becomes a cause of suffering. And the worst of this kind of covet thing is to covet those who have things that belong to those who have renounced the world. Then ill will, the next ill will, three types. Ill will due to anger, ill will due to jealousy, and ill will due to resentment. So the first one, thinking and feeling like I want to harm someone, I want to kill someone because I don't like them, and they are my enemy, they stand in my way. And the second one is due to competition. You want to harm someone. You want to see them fail. You want to see them suffer because you cannot stand that they're doing better than you. And then the third one has to do with the feeling of, they have done something wrong to me in the past. So I want them to suffer. And so this is the three types. Ripened results, not surprisingly, hell realms, if we continuously engage in this. Even if reborn as a human, you'll be dominated by this angry mind, no matter what. The slightest things, can make you burst out in anger, lash out at people. And the side effect is where food is hard to eat. The kind of food available to you is very hard to eat. Don't taste good. You have to force yourself to eat just to survive. Finally, wrong views. And there are three. Wrong views with regards to karma, wrong views with regard to what is truth, and wrong views with regards to the objects of refuge. So the first one is the strongest, which is denying that there is such thing as karmic cause and effect. or perverting them. By creating non-virtue, you can be happy. Don't create virtue, because that just makes you miserable. Even things like saying, like sometimes we say, no good deed goes unpunished. That is a very perversion of karma, confusing cause and effect. What causes lead to what effects? The second is believing that the path that the Buddha taught cannot lead us out of suffering. Having that kind of belief, that the path, that the practices actually in the end cannot lead us out of suffering. Meaning all we have is suffering. There's no alternative, no end, no escape from that. Then the third is to reject the true objects of refuge, in our case, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Ripened result is rebirth in the animal realm, because animal realm was characterized by confusion, ignorance. Then, even if born as a human, we won't have a very sharp mind. We'll always be confused, always be kind of in the haze and always lost. And then the side effect is to be living in a place where food is very hard to get. Even growing things, they don't give yield. The worst of this is to be involved in beliefs that are like a thicket. That means ideas, wrong ideas that feed each other continuously. One wrong view which leads to another wrong view, which leads to another wrong view, and very soon you are all, caught like in a bramble, in the bush of thorns. And no matter where you move, you will be hurt. So this is a Gongpopa's discussion of the 10 non-virtues. So we can pay attention, to these details of the 10 non-virtues. First, knowing the categories. Then more generally, we observe our actions. The 10 non-virtues, of course, we are still going to create, even though, we have committed to the path of Dharma. The point is that it's not like, you will like overnight, And why we take vows, and later we talk about the lay vows tomorrow, is so that by taking those vows, we are not saying, oh, I take those vows because now I don't do any of those things anymore. Then there's no need to take vows, you already don't do, it's like saying, I'm going to take medicine because now I don't have any more illness. No, you take the vows because the vows, by taking the vows, those vows can protect us from creating these causes of suffering. So we'll do that tomorrow. Now let's conclude by doing the invocation, supplication to Guru Rinpoche. Guru Rinpoche, Buddha of the 3 times great bliss, source of all siddhis, wrathful subduer of maras, who removes all obstacles, grant your blessings, we pray. Through them may all obstacles, outer, inner, and secret, be quelled, and may all our aspirations be fulfilled. Now, so, a prayer like this, removing all obstacles. So you cannot make prayers of removing obstacles. Now, get up, go create obstacles. This works on interdependence. We have to make a commitment not to create obstacles. Then we make supplications to clear obstacles. Then they come together. Cause comes from us, condition comes from such prayers. Otherwise, in fact, if you say, please remove obstacles, and you are the one creating the obstacles, so then you might be removed. If you're ready to be removed, then it's okay. But if you're not ready to be removed, then don't keep praying for the removal of obstacles, whereby in that picture, you are the one creating the obstacles. And then you might be removed sooner than you want. Chanju Semchu Rinpoche Ma Ge Ba Nam Ge Gyu Che Ge Ba Nyam Pa Me Pa Yang Go Ne Gong Du Be Wer Shu. Okay. See you tomorrow. Tata.